All right. When we talk about Black Lives Matters, a lot of people have different opinions on that. I hear some people say all lives matter. And I see people saying very cruel things to them, like your group needs to be the focus. No, it doesn't. We are people. So we should forget about the missing and murdered indigenous peoples. We should forget about women. We should forget about everybody else except for black people, right? I don't think so. You need numbers. Although numbers alone confer no advantage, the fact is that we do need to work together. Many minds can do a lot of good. Um, if you're black and you're turning a blind eye to the missing and murdered indigenous people, what makes you so special? What makes you more human, more worth paying attention to than the missing and murdered indigenous people? What makes you so much better than women that you need to turn a blind eye to them and focus just on black people? Making outrageous claims like they're your people. No, we, the human race, are your people, regardless of your color. See, I get to hear a lot of black folks complaining about how unjust things are towards black people. Hey, knock it off. I get to hear indigenous people complaining about how things are so terrible for their people. I even know people in the KKK complaining about how their white people get treated so much worse than everyone else. Now, each of these people are blaming each other. It's the white man's fault. It's the white man's fault that the black people are trodden. It's the white man's fault the natives are trodden. It's the black and Mexicans' fault that white people don't have the same rights. And I hear this. I hear these things. And I know that they're not true. Now I get it. I do. I understand racism. I grew up in the system getting my ass beat because I was the wrong fucking color. But when I became an adult, I didn't carry that on as hatred towards blacks and Asians, who are the people who primarily assaulted me. It was mostly black folks and Asian folks, not white people. But did I become an adult and blame all black people and blame all Asian people? Fuck no! I'm smarter than that. If I'm gonna blame you, you did something wrong. I'm not gonna pick your group and attack it. What Miss Peaches did was wrong, although she was scared, and justifiably so. She's part Native American and part Mexican, except she was born in the United States, so she's all American. Do I go blaming all Mexicans? No. Do I go blaming all natives? No. Miss Peaches made her mistakes. I still love her despite those mistakes, despite her errors. But at the same time, I understand that it's not a race issue. The race issue is divide and conquer. Blame these people, blame those people. No, you need to place the blame where it belongs. The lawmakers, the media, these are the people who are twisting and contorting decent ideas and decent people into villainy and corruption. Now, we've got all of these different special rights groups, each one vying for power, each one vying for their own attention, Oh no, we don't need to look after these native women who are disappearing. Black lives are what matters. We need to focus on black people. Once we've fixed everything for black people, then we can focus on natives. Well, that's not how it works. We haven't even fixed things for poor white people who you blame everything on. It's all the white man's fault, isn't it? Meanwhile, there are millions of white people in the United States just like me who fight for your rights despite the fact that you're a different color or a different gender or born in a different region. You are still a human being to me, but you're not a human being to your government, and you are not a human being to special rights groups unless you are part of that special rights group. I am for equal rights. Now we got these special rights groups creating hatred. Hatred! Lawmakers going, all right, well, we'll try to appease these black folks by giving them special rights. And we'll try to please these natives by giving them special rights. Meanwhile, they don't follow through, first of all. I mean, the government and the lawmakers don't follow through. But then there's the fact that you need the numbers. Historically, it takes about 2% of the population to effectively stage a coup, to take over the government. 2% of the population. Back up. Walker, go. Go. Walter, you too. Go. I am against special rights. The biggest problem that I hear out of them idiots from the KKK and the Airheadian Brotherhood is that black people have more rights than they do. And they're actually right. Black people do have more rights on paper. But in actuality, police don't give a fuck about paper. They care about poverty. They assume your guilt because of poverty, because you have no money. You must have deserved it. You must have not worked as hard as they did. Meanwhile, they're cops. They don't actually work. Guys, back up. Stop humping him. That is not okay. He's already been dominated. Knock it off. Dogs. Dogs are wonderful creatures. They're made of love, but they also have a hierarchy. When you have a corrupt hierarchy, the whole pack pays for it. When the whole pack goes out and does the hunting, and only the big dog gets to eat the rabbit, then we've got a corrupt hierarchy. And that's what we're dealing with here. Those in power are dividing and conquering, sowing the seeds of hate. And I get to see those seeds and the fruits of those with Black Lives Matter, with the KKK, with the indigenous peoples of the United States of America. I'm a white guy. On paper, I have less rights than women. On paper, I have less rights than minorities. However, in reality, I get what's called white privilege. I'm not as bad of a broke person as a Native American because of the color of my skin. I'm not as bad of a poor person as a black person because of the color of my skin. This is how society looks at it, and it's wrong. Guys, knock it off. Ah. Oh. Oh, you will. Ow, 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 on my back. The fact is, we need each other. Just because it says something on paper doesn't mean that's the way it is in reality. Because in reality, black people are still punished for the color of their skin. Natives are still punished for the color of their skin. And white people, believe it or not, are still punished for the color of their skin. We, the people, are capable of getting along. We are capable of working together. White people are capable of helping to look for Native women. Black people are capable of helping to look for Native women or missing Native people. And these Native people are capable of looking for Black people who are missing and white people who are missing. And we got a lot of people. You see the difference between Natalie's case and many of these indigenous people's cases. In Natalie's case, Natalie was an alcoholic. She was a heroin addict. She was a meth addict. But people focused on how pretty she was. But then when these Native Americans go missing, we hear, oh, well, they're a bunch of junkies. They're a bunch of alcoholics. You know, she probably killed herself. You know, they probably had it coming. What if she's a pretty Native woman? See, that's the thing, is that most of these Native women who disappeared, it's just assumed that they're junkies. And we get to hear that slander over and over and over. Do people want to hear that about their missing loved ones? That terrible shit that you spread with your hatred. Meanwhile, when it's proven that a white girl like Natalie Bollinger is a junkie, you can't say junkie because she's a pretty white girl. You have to say addict, and you have to feel sorry for her, and you have to feel sorry for her family. Why is that? Why can't we treat Native women that way? Even if they are alcoholics, they're people. If they're sober, they're still people. If they're addicted to meth, they're still people. Black people are still people. And we need to recognize that. Native people are still people. And we need to recognize that. And white people are still people. And we all need to recognize that. Most of the racist white people that I know, they have valid reasons for being hateful. They just take it out on the wrong fucking people. Instead of going after the bastards who are doing these things, they want to blame black people. Oh, these black people are getting special rights. I'm going to hate them extra now. No, absolutely not. I refuse to hate people for the color of their skin. I refuse to hate people for their gender. However, the social standing and the social understanding of each one of these groups, especially when they compartmentalize and make their group the most important, is what is destroying us, not only as a nation, but as a species. There aren't a whole bunch of different human races. It's not black people are one type of human and Mexicans are a different type of human and natives are a different type of human. No, we all have human genetics. All of us. Regardless of the color of your skin, you are a human being. Regardless of where you were born, you are a human being. Regardless of what parts you were born with, you are a human being. And we get to read on paper about how all of these minority groups have more rights than white people. But in reality, that's not how it is because humans aren't perfect. We have police officers, judges, and CPS workers across the entire country taking part in child molestation and child sex trafficking, including in Boulder, Colorado. Black people are not your enemy. White people are not your enemy. Men are not your enemy. Women are not your enemy. Native Americans are not your enemy. Homosexuals are not your enemy. Your enemy are the police, child protective services, the judges. The United States government is the enemy of the United States people.